Just our all-time favorite book. Harold and the Purple Crown. You know what would have been cool?
What?
If they named Harold Frank.
Why?
It's a long, long story that involves ducks, a swamp, and a... It's a long story. I'll tell you one day. Harold and the Purple Crown by Crockett Johnson. You ready? One evening, after thinking it over for a while, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed the moon for a walk in the moonlight, and he needed something to walk on. So he made a long straight path so that he wouldn't get lost, and then he set off on this walk, taking his big purple crown with him. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on that long straight path, so he left the path for a very short cut across a field, and the moon went with him. And the shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. And he didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made a very small forest with just one tree in it. It turned out to be an apple tree, and the apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, when they got red. But you know what's ironic about that? Is that it is a purple tree drawn with a purple crown. But he is expecting the apples to get red. Isn't that weird? Doesn't that strike you as odd? So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terribly frightening dragon. It even frightened Harold, and he backed away. All the while, his hand holding the purple crown shook. Suddenly, he realized what was happening, but by then Harold was over his head in notion. He came up, thinking fast, and in no time he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. Frank might be in that war. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. After he had sailed long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and he thought. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and the thought of picnics made him hungry. That was hard to read. Oh, so he laid out a nice simple picnic lunch. And there was nothing but pie. But there were all 9 kinds of pie that Harold liked best. Oh gosh, I hope there's apple pie and pumpkin pie. When Harold finished his picnic, there was quite a lot left, and he hated to see so much delicious pie go to waste. So Harold left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up. And off he went, looking for a hill to climb to see where he was. Harold knew that the higher up that he went, the farther he could see. So he decided to make the hill into a mountain. If he went high enough, he thought he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired, and he felt he ought to be getting to bed, and he hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of that mountain. But he looked down over the other side, and he slipped. And there wasn't any other side of the mountain. He was falling in thin air. But luckily he kept his wits and his purple crown, and he made a balloon, and he grabbed onto it. And he made a basket under the balloon, big enough to stand in. And he had a very fine view from that balloon, but he still couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see a house, let alone stay awake to finish the book, because apparently David was just so tired that he had to close his eyes at the best part coming up, where he continued to draw his imagination I might continue reading it in a very soothing Morgan Freeman voice. Still doing it.